Welcome, Sister Pat Torre, as we begin this new season of Discover Wisdom Conversations. So, Pat, in introducing you this morning, I'm going to read from a text that was written by your sister Liz about you, and to which we all concur is absolutely true. That you are a well-rounded, down-to-earth person who has many gifts and shares them lovingly. That you are a wonderful writer and you have insights about spirituality that cultivate the loving image of God. You are a great listener and consider offering spiritual direction as a sacred privilege. With a master's in theology, years of working as a pastoral associate, spiritual director, and Reiki master, you bring a wealth of knowledge to all you do. And you are open to learning and growing from a global community encompassing all faiths and traditions and inclusive of all people. You really do live your wisdom charism. And we know you love your dog Jackson, who has shown you yet another dimension of love. So welcome this morning, Pat, and thank you.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, Liz, my sister, who wrote that. And I need to edit that a little bit and add Kara's name to it, or a new addition. Because if I don't, Anne will have Kara annoying me the rest of the day. But she really is a love, and I do enjoy her too. I'm fighting something, so my voice is going to come in and out, and I really apologize for that. But there's not much you can do about it. So I add my welcome to Anne and Anne's, and I'm really happy to be part of this Laudato Deum, this Pope Francis journey that we're on. I did a lot of research, and my reflections, I want to give credit, are based on a book that we read years ago called In the Service of Life by Elaine Prevelet. Her whole, I mean, the thing is on the vows, but the beginning is all about the earth or a common home. I'm wondering if Pope Francis read it too, because it just all comes together. So let's begin with Pope Francis, his latest Laudato Deum, and he ends it, I'm starting with the end of it, he ends it by saying that he entitled this letter, which Laudato Deum, which is Latin for praise God. He chose this name to remind us that we will become our own worst enemy if we fail to respect the hand of God in creation and begin thinking that somehow creation belongs to us. But before he said that, in number 67, he said, "We Jews and Christians see the entire universe as shot through with divine presence. And in that there is a great mystery, as unseen bonds link us, and together with all creation, we form a sort of universal family." Now, those of us who are in the wisdom tradition, which is all of us, we're familiar with the reading from Proverbs 8, and the creation of the world from wisdom's point of view. And this translation is from the Message. I like that because it always gives a little twist to it. So wisdom says, God made me first, before God did anything else. I, wisdom, was brought into being a long time ago, well before earth got its start. I arrived on the scene before ocean, yes, even before springs and rivers and lakes. And before mountains were sculpted and hills took shape, I was already there, a newborn. And then God staked out Earth's foundation, and I was right there with God, making sure everything fit. Day after day I was there with my joyful applause, always enjoying God's company, delighted with the world of things and creatures, happily celebrating the human family. In this passage, wisdom begins to reveal herself to us and reminding us that she was there, delighting in the creation of the earth, our common home. How well do I delight in the earth? How well do I know her, the earth? And when did I become aware of the fact that the earth is my home? With all that home implies, in my house here in Litchfield, who is welcome? Who is not? What belongs to me and what belongs to those I live with? How do I keep this home clean, safe, comfortable, viable? How do I image the earth? Our images of the earth have changed over the years. I can remember when I was in school, I loved playing with the globe. Just spin it around, spin it around. It never really meant anything to me, like everything, at least it was round. It wasn't the flat maps on the wall, but it was round, but it was something that you could play with, like, look at the world, I'm playing with the world. Little did I know I was delighting, as wisdom does. But today we have images from the moon and beyond. And it wasn't until that image from the moon that we really began to see our world as in a whole different way. Let me get this picture up. Okay. Can everyone see the image?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. So this very small, round, and vulnerable object in an infinity of black space has become known as an icon of Earth. What do you see as you contemplate this icon? The astronauts spoke of seeing national boundaries disappear. Nations begin to seem like temporary and arbitrary boundaries, and wars and battles over boundaries and property rights seem strangely out of place. Who owns anything after all? Doesn't it belong to all of us? And when we throw something away, where is away? To the astronaut Edgar Mitchell, Earth was a sparkling blue and white jewel, a small pearl in a thick sea of black mystery. It takes more than a moment, he said, to fully realize this is Earth. This is home. My view of the planet was a glimpse of divinity. Earth has become, it always was, but it has become, at least in our minds, home to all of us, home to the whole Earth community. It boggles my mind to think that we have begun to destroy the Earth. That Earth that has been working to develop for billions of years. In the face of all this, can one individual make much of a difference? Can I? Yet on the other hand, it does inspire a kind of awe at my own privilege to be part of and participate in the process. I certainly want to, with a sense of reverence and care for its continuance. Certainly I have been using less reusing, recycling, but it was always from the outside. I have to throw this here and this goes there, and I'm doing such a good job, and look at me, look at all I'm doing so good. And yet, with our conversation last month, I realized that some were saying, including myself, that this really has to come from the inside, that I really have to have a relationship with this earth, this beautiful blue image of what life is all about, that's imbued with our God, that has been breathed on by wisdom, and her breath continues to sustain us in our home. I read another reflection on this. This one makes me a little dizzy, so hang tight if it makes you dizzy too. Sometimes when you're walking along, try to imagine yourself as one infinitesimally small creature walking on top of an orb, spinning in space at unthinkable speed, with only gravity keeping your feet anchored to the earth. If it weren't for gravity, you'd go flying off in space as less than a speck of dust. Brian Swimme describes gravity like an elemental form of love, a welling up of an inescapable togetherness of things. If we think of gravity holding all of us on earth together in an embrace of love, doesn't that speak of a God who is essentially relational, wanting to draw all things together in love? And if the sun were not generous in spilling out its energy of light and heat, and if the earth were on track at just this particular distance to the sun, regularly and predictably following its course, nothing would grow, nothing would live. Life would either be burned to ashes or freeze to death. It not only boggles my mind, it breaks my heart to think that we are beginning to destroy what God, what wisdom, what all those who have come before us have continued to love into life, our common home. My last reflection is something I read recently from Einstein. I don't do much Einstein reading. I'm not a mathematician or a scientist, but two things of Einstein I really appreciate. The first time I read something where he said, imagination is the highest form of thinking. Well, I just grabbed that because I love guided imagery and imagination and creativity. So I figured, well, Einstein might have something to say to me. And just this past week, I read about the letters that he left his daughter. And one of the things he said was that he didn't want these letters to be published until like 50, 60 years after he was gone, because he wanted to say that in all of his work, there was one thing that was missing. There was the one thing that was holding all the universe together. And that one thing is love, the missing piece, because it cannot be measured by scientists. Love holds the universe together. So love is the answer. It usually is. Love of our common home, love of all who inhabit it, love of self and others. For this world was so lovingly crafted, made by hand from the God who loves us. So continue to contemplate this image, and let's take a few minutes and then share anything that has come to you in a new understanding of the earth, of a new way of embracing the walk we've been asked to walk, by being more loving towards our earth and one another.